Hi, my name is Brandon Leonard. I'm Director of Strategic Initiatives at Men's Health Network, and I'm joined by Lisa Gordon, who is a trainer for the Center for Culturally Responsive Practice at the Bank Street College of Education.
Right.
And Lisa has just joined us for our panel talking about some of the challenges that boys are facing in school and what kind of impact that has during their lifetime. And Lisa, first of all, thank you for being on our panel. We appreciate you coming down here.
Thank you for including me.
And I wanted to ask you to talk just a little bit about your work and some of the exciting programs and pilot programs that you've been working on and how that directly ties into some of the themes of today's briefing.
Thanks, Brandon. Well, our work has really been focused on looking at changing systems, policies, programs, and practice to be able to create environments that are more supportive for boys' learning and boys' development. And I think really how it ties into the briefing conversation is a lot of themes that kind of came up as we talked about during the session, thinking of expulsions, thinking of suspensions, and looking at some of the disproportionality that plays out for boys, and particularly for African American boys in this case, is that our project or our programs really look at specifically the issues around supporting social emotional development for boys, which starts so early for all children, and creating stronger relationships between teachers and home and school and parents to be able to engage and to be more supportive of families and children. It also kind of looks at the fact that we for so long, a lot of research out there and even attitudes, and we look at implications of just implicit bias, really focus on deficit views of children and families. And so we really try to get to the heart of that by engaging those who we work with through our program, adults, teachers, administrators, family engagement staff, and families, right, around how we change that paradigm and shift in thinking about our boys, understanding how they learn, understanding going deeper to get to individualize learning environments and instruction for them that really supports their development and learning.
So today our audience was folks who are here on Capitol Hill, congressional staffers, members of Congress, advocacy organizations. What is the key message that you would like those folks to take away from a conversation like the one we had today about boys and education?
Well, I think one, it would be the importance of investment in early care and education, that it's so important that we've got to really address these issues at birth, and that birth to 5 space as children are just entering into kindergarten, to be able to get them ready and prepared, and that in order to do that, it really requires a level of funding to support high quality environments and early education, and equal access, so that it's not just based on your zip code where you get quality education. And then secondly, that more funding needs to exist or be available for programs to dig deeper into these issues. So it's beyond just your normal professional development and training, right? But really looking for ways to have a system approach to really addressing issues of implicit bias, looking at issues of disproportionality, and to be able to be supportive in being able to provide that professional development for all staff to be able to engage and to be able to look at these issues. That what we're finding is with some of the work that we've been doing, some of the communities have funding to do certain levels of professional development, but on a broader scale to really do the systems impact, they don't necessarily have funds there. There's been some great initiatives across Department of Ed, looking at initiatives to support quality infant and toddler programs. There's been Race to the Top initiatives, and it would be great if there were some also a focus within those of culture and understanding some of those issues deeper, and in particular for our vulnerable populations, to be able to dig deeper and ensure that there's a greater understanding and recognition that your program needs to be reflective of the children and families you serve. And that really comes first from understanding who they are and building on their strengths and assets that they bring, so that you can really make an impact on their development, and that these efforts can be sustainable, right? Not just a flyby, one-time training or discussion, but we can really have courageous conversations that will lead to change.
Great. I have one more question for you. I was really interested in your work, particularly in your pilot program. You did interviews with fathers and other male role models and father figures for these boys. Can you tell us a little bit about what you learned from those conversations?
Sure. So we had focus groups, specifically with male family members. Some of them were fathers. Some of them were uncles. Grandfathers even came. And what was very powerful, Brandon, was that they unpacked the societal and historical climates that they themselves experience as men, and could directly link back to their experiences as young children, as young boys, realizing that, wow, when I was a child, my experience in early childhood settings was very negative. I remember, being disciplined and not really understanding why. And so it was a space for them to be able to safely have a conversation amongst each other. And as a conversation unraveled, what they came to, the conclusion is that it's important for me to be at the table, that our sons need us as mentors, and that it's important for us to bring other men to the table and into this space, and that we need to have a voice in our schools and in our community. A lot of them talked about how they're already mentoring younger men and trying to help them so that they learn from their mistakes or the challenges that they've faced. But I just love the fact that some of them have that the conversation rose to, my children's success really depends on me and my support, how involved I am within my school, within my community, and there's a genuine interest and compassion and desire by the men that we met to be able to be the best parent for their children. But they also realize that there are some cultural barriers that don't give them the benefit of the doubt of believing that by individuals that don't understand them. That maybe implicit bias creates barriers for them in being able to engage with schools, and that they don't always feel welcome when they're at the school. When they're talking to teachers, the teacher may often refer to a mother or the female in the family and leave out the father. So these times of reflection and our focus groups gave dads an opportunity to really have these conversations, and then they kind of came up with some recommendations or suggestions in terms of how they might be able to help to make that paradigm shift within their environments and their school culture to be more strength-based. And some of that was getting more involved, but also being a voice and an advocate and speaking and to school leaders about it. So it was very, very uplifting.
It was very exciting work that you're doing, and we appreciate so much your coming down to talk to us about it and to share your experiences. And thank you again for coming to speak with us.
Well, thank you for having us.